He walked into the bank wearing the same suit he wore every day. Neat, pressed, professional. But to them, he was just another black man asking for something he didn't deserve. The loan officer didn't see the confidence in his voice, or the steady hands of a man who'd built something real. He only saw color. What they didn't know was that Jaden wasn't there for approval. He already owned the building they worked in. And when the truth came out, it shattered their illusion of power forever. Jaden Parker had always believed that hard work could rewrite destiny. Born in Detroit's East Side, raised by a single mother who worked double shifts at a diner, he learned early that success didn't come from luck. It came from persistence. By 35, he owned 3 small businesses, employed over 40 people, and built a reputation as one of the most dependable entrepreneurs in his community. Every morning, he drove his black sedan downtown, the same route past the neighborhoods that once told him he'd never make it out. To the outside world, Jaden looked like progress, a man who'd beaten the odds. But beneath the calm, he carried years of silent battles. Banks that refused his applications, investors who never called back, boardrooms that treated him like a visitor instead of a visionary. Yet he never complained. He kept building, one small victory at a time, believing that the next opportunity might finally be different. On a bright Monday morning, Jaden walked into Grand Crest Bank, polished shoes, confident smile, and a folder filled with years of financial growth. He wasn't asking for a handout. He wanted a business expansion loan to create more jobs in his city. But the looks he got from the moment he stepped in told a different story. The receptionist's polite smile tightened. The loan officer's eyes scanned him from head to toe before forcing a grin. As he waited, surrounded by marble floors and framed photos of executives who all looked nothing like him, Jaden couldn't shake a quiet unease. He'd been here before, not this exact bank, but this feeling, that invisible wall between respect and suspicion. He didn't know it yet, but this meeting would expose something far deeper than a denied loan. It would uncover the prejudice hidden behind polished desks and corporate smiles. The meeting began like every other. Polite smiles, rehearsed greetings, and paperwork shuffled across a glass desk. But Jaden could feel the tension in the air the way some people feel rain before it falls. The loan officer, a man named Charles Whitman, adjusted his tie as if to prepare himself for something unpleasant. His tone was smooth, professional, but his eyes said something else, a quiet judgment, a silent assumption. "So, Mr. Parker," he began, scanning the documents without really seeing them, "you're seeking $500,000 for expansion?" Jaden nodded. "Yes, sir. My company's revenue has doubled in 2 years. I've attached all tax returns, cash flow statements, and references." Charles smiled thinly. "Impressive, but you understand. Of course, banks are cautious these days, especially with certain business types. The words hung in the air, harmless on paper but heavy in meaning. Jaden had heard them before. The code phrases that disguised prejudice in polite corporate language. High risk, unconventional background, limited collateral. They all meant the same thing. You don't look like someone we trust with this much money. Minutes turned into an hour. Charles asked unnecessary questions, doubting every line on Jaden's financials. At one point, he called in his supervisor, a woman named Karen Doyle, who scanned Jaden's papers with an expression somewhere between skepticism and disbelief. She didn't even sit down. "These numbers look optimistic," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "Are these businesses actually in your name?" Jaden's jaw tightened. "Yes, ma'am. You can verify everyone." "I've built them myself." Karen forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Of course. We just have to be thorough." She left without a handshake. The door closed behind her with the kind of finality that said, "You don't belong here." By the time Jaden walked out, his confidence had been stripped away, layer by layer. The rejection email arrived hours later. A short, impersonal message citing insufficient credit history, despite his flawless record. It wasn't the first time, but something about this one felt different. It wasn't just a no, it was a message. You can build everything, right? And still never be seen as equal. That night, Jaden sat in his office long after his employees had gone home. The city lights outside his window flickered like reminders of a dream he'd worked too hard to lose. He thought of his mother's words. Make them see you, even if they try not to. And that's when he remembered something crucial. Something no one at Grand Crest Bank could possibly know. A year earlier, Jaden had quietly diversified his investments, purchasing shares across multiple financial institutions through a private equity fund. He hadn't paid attention to the details until now. He logged in, checked the portfolio records, and froze. Among the holdings was a name he recognized instantly. Grand Crest Bank. Not just a few shares, a controlling stake through the fund, making him one of the bank's largest individual investors. The irony hit him like a wave. The same institution that dismissed him, questioned him, denied him, was partially his. The very people who looked down on him were working under the policies he indirectly influenced. He sat back, the rejection email still glowing on his screen. The pain of humiliation turned into something sharper. Purpose. If they wanted to see what a black man with power looked like, he'd show them. Not with anger, not with shouting, but with quiet, undeniable truth. The next morning, Jaden scheduled a meeting, not with Charles or Karen, but with the board of directors, because this time, he wasn't walking in as a loan applicant. He was walking in as their boss. When Jaden arrived at the boardroom, the air was thick with the polished arrogance of corporate power. A long mahogany table stretched across the room, surrounded by executives who never imagined someone like him would be sitting among them. Not as a client, but as an owner. The bank's CEO, Thomas Reed, looked up, clearly unprepared for what was about to unfold. Mr. Parker, he greeted coolly, scanning the appointment notes. I understand you requested an urgent meeting regarding a loan dispute. Jaden placed the rejection letter on the table, the paper trembling slightly in his hand. Not from fear, but from restrained fury. Yes, he replied evenly. This was sent to me yesterday. Your team decided I was too much of a risk. Reed barely looked at the letter. Our underwriting standards are strict. I'm sure it was nothing personal. Jaden's gaze didn't waver. It's always personal when the decision isn't about numbers. It's about perception. He reached into his folder again, this time not with loan documents, but with ownership records from the equity fund. You might want to reconsider what's personal. Because as of last quarter, my firm owns 17% of Grand Crest Bank. That makes me your largest private investor. The room went silent. A few executives exchanged stunned glances. Reed's polite smile faltered. That's impossible, he murmured. Jaden pushed the documents forward. It's all here. SEC filings, investment disclosures. The same institution that told me I wasn't qualified has been using my capital to fund other clients for years. Clients who don't look like me. For the first time, the polished confidence in the room cracked. The same people who'd dismissed him now shifted uncomfortably in their seats, realizing the magnitude of their mistake. Jaden stood tall, voice steady, but sharp as steel. You see, Mr. Reed, you didn't just deny me a loan. You denied an owner of this very bank. You denied a man who believed in your institution enough to invest in it, despite how it sees him. Silence consumed the room, the kind that makes even air feel heavy. Reed leaned back, pale and speechless. The hierarchy had flipped. The man they dismissed as a risk had just revealed himself as the foundation of their wealth. Word of that boardroom meeting spread faster than any headline could capture. By the next morning, whispers turned into news. Local entrepreneur exposes discrimination at major financial institution. Cameras waited outside Grand Crest Bank's marble doors. And for once, the story wasn't about a man being denied. It was about a man redefining power. Jaden didn't gloat. He didn't file lawsuits or demand resignations. Instead, he requested one thing: transparency. He ordered a full review of the bank's lending practices, demanding public accountability for every rejected application that bore the weight of bias. When the results came out, they were damning. A pattern of systemic discrimination hiding beneath polished professionalism. Executives resigned. Policies changed, and Jaden became a name people in power whispered with both respect and discomfort. The man who turned humiliation into revolution. But beyond headlines and policy shifts, the impact was deeper. Jaden returned to his community, establishing a fund that helped small Black-owned businesses access capital without judgment, without discrimination, without the invisible chains that once held him back. For every door that had been slammed in his face, he built two more and left them open for others to walk through. Standing before a group of young entrepreneurs, he spoke the words his mother once told him. Words that now carried a different kind of weight. Don't fight to be seen by them. Build something so strong they can't look away. And as the crowd erupted in applause, Jaden knew this wasn't just his victory. It was a statement, a reminder that racism doesn't always wear a hood or carry a gun. Sometimes it wears a suit and signs denial letters behind tinted glass. The question isn't whether injustice exists. We've seen it. The question is, how many more Jadens will it take before the system learns to see beyond skin color and start seeing value, potential, humanity? Because power doesn't just come from wealth. It comes from proving them wrong, not with anger, but with undeniable truth. Don't miss more powerful real-life stories. Hit subscribe now.